We find it's best to take a little bit of care over this process so that everyone is well settled and seated. Okay, well, welcome everyone. This is our concluding session for our very busy weekend that we've had together, and lovely to be all in circle together for our final session. And just to get us, because we've been incredibly busy and we've been rushing out and we're getting lunch and then coming back, getting the chairs organised, and so we're all a bit... So I've asked the wonderful Marissa, who had previously sent us some breathing that we sent out with you in your preparation materials before the Congress, to just breathe us into this space together now.
Thank you, Janet. So I sent this out in the welcome email. If you haven't seen it, the link is still in there, and you can still see it up until tomorrow on my website. So for now, I would like to invite you to sit up straight, both feet planted on the floor. And we're just going to do a really quick centering meditation to get us all grounded and ready for the next session. I'd like to invite you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath all the way into your belly. Put your hand on your belly, and as you breathe in, you can feel it expand. And out. Breathe in again, and go even deeper, right into your hips, your legs, your feet, all the way into the earth. And imagine that you are a tree, and out of your feet come the roots that connect you to the earth. They branch out deeper and wider, and breathe all the way down into the earth, deeper and wider. And as you breathe in, let the energy, the grounding energy of the earth, come back up into your body. And as you breathe out, send it all the way down into the earth as deep as you can. And as you breathe in again, draw that grounding energy all the way up into your body. Now the next breath, we're going to send up through the crown of your head, all the way up into the sky. And imagine you have branches that reach out higher and wider, all the way up to the sun. And as you breathe back in, you draw in that life energy from the sun into your body. Now we're coming back into our own center. Breathe into your belly again. And out. And put your hand on your heart. And begin to feel the other people in this room. And send the breath out through your heart to connect with everybody else here in this room. And as you breathe in, you feel that connection coming to you. Breathe out through your heart. And breathe in. Feel the connection. Now gently come back into the room. Open your eyes, softly. Look at the beautiful flowers that stand in the center. And look up to someone across you. Make eye contact. Feel the connection. Thank you. I think we're ready for our next session.
Thank you, Marissa. That's beautiful. Well, it's a little bit unscripted, this part of the agenda, the flow, as we like to call it. But what we do know is that we would like there to be some quite definite outcomes from this time we've spent together. So, hold that thought, because I'm going to go first, before we get into that too far, to Liz, just to give us a little wind-up of the workshop that we've just done.
Well, firstly, I'd like to say a huge congratulations to everyone, because what we did in the short frame time even blew my mind. I was like, yeah, we're going to give this a go. Can we do it? I hope we can. And everybody did it. I was amazed at the groups that I filmed with. Everybody was so uniquely different, like the way that you approached it, the way you worked in a team, how you blended your team voices together, how some of you said words together. I really love just something that is in my mind where one group said, as seniors, we're part of the problem, but we can also be part of the solution. And there were just so many very positive stories that everybody was delivering out of action, hope, and imagination of what we could create if we acted. So I'd like to firstly congratulate everybody for working together so seamlessly and taking good direction and doing everything literally in one take. So I thought it was a very collaborative approach. I'd also like to just thank Wendy, who also shot and was holding up scripts, and we just both finished the last group now. So I'd like to say it was a real team effort together. So it was a privilege to hear everybody's voices. And I can't wait to get them edited over the next week and a half. I'm sure they'll come back to Janet to share. And I think it's just an example of you all had a voice. And when you actually thought about it, you all had something to say. And how you take that forward is up to you, but taking your voice forward in conversation and at the coffee shop and in community and any NGOs you're involved with, you know you have a voice. So it's be creative and think how you can use it. This was just one workshop to find voices, but you all found a voice. And I just love the fact that everybody pitched in and everybody had something to say. So I think we should all say congratulations to everyone.
Thank you, Liz. It was I think I'm going to stick to radio in future. I've decided I'm getting in front of a camera, but it was great. And thank you so much, Liz and Wendy, for guiding us through that process. I can't wait to see the videos that we've made, and of course we're going to share them with everyone. But to come back to my previous point, we want to feel that there's some outcomes coming from this event. We have an election. We're right in the middle of election. So what a good time for our voices, us to feel that our voices are going to really count. Now, Shelley is down there writing down, and I'm going to invite, we've got a microphone here in the middle for you, as you just feel the move to do so, to maybe come forward. You might want to give us a reflection on your experience here, but turn that into something that you feel that you can take away to do in your community or in whatever way you feel. So the floor is open. And when we've heard from some of you, we will try and draw things together.
I have continued to think about Kate Orty's talk to us on Friday night. She told us stories about how the community of Euroa were able to, through their activist movement, able to make great changes. And the thing that resounded with me was that Kate said, you have to show what work you are doing. And I've learnt that in preparation for this event. The beloved Supriya and her determination and respectful way she kept telling us to use Facebook. And I think that message from Supriya and that message from Kate Orty are really significant. We now have 7 or 8 videos that will also be part of being able to show the wider world what we do.
Thank you. I've just realised that maybe that's not working quite as well because now Margaret had her back. I thought we needed the microphone, but maybe if we just share this microphone.
Yes, and Margaret, I feel that what we've got now is that little exercise and formula that we can come together in a group, because I found the brainstorming much easier when there was so many different perspectives, and to then be able to create other videos. And absolutely say with what Supriya was saying about getting on Facebook, and even if there are the haters, it doesn't matter, people are starting to talk, which is a really cool thing. So whatever platform that you're most comfortable on, to, as Kate said, show what you're doing so that it inspires others. Who's next?
Two questions.
We've got to solve, sorry, that our wonderful AV people have set that up so that we could get a recording if you do use this microphone.
I'm just going to stay here. The next person can. The first question is, are we going to write something for the federal election? Are we going to write something that says this Congress wants? Yes, no?
Yes, I think definitely we will be writing something.
And how do people get involved in doing that?
Well, I think when we go back, we'll start and we'll draft something. This is what we do collaboratively, so we'll start drafting something we think is a reflection of what we've talked about here, and then we'll send it around to all the participants to comment on, and then we'll build.
The second one, this reminded me of something that the World YWCA did in the beginning of the 1980s that I just want to quickly share. We heard that Nestle's were promoting substitute breast milk in Africa, and we decided that we were going to change that. And this reminded me of how we worked with allied women's organisations across the world and got all of them to get their members to boycott Nestle's. And when we came back to Australia and told a radio program that we were doing that, within 22 hours, Nestle's rang me and said, we'd like to have a meeting. They changed their practice in Africa. And I think what's reminded me is the importance of the allies that were here and how we need to work with them. And the more we work with them, the better we will be, the more effective we'll be.
Thank you, Tricia. And we are developing this network. It's a wonderful thing that women do that very well, create networks and webby connections, and you've seen hopefully some of that in action here this weekend. And yeah, I mean, yeah, those sort of campaigns, we really could do with some good funding to put together some of these sort of campaigns to be able to, fund people to work on them, because it's difficult when you're a volunteer, when you've only got volunteers. But I'm sure that the campaign you're talking about was volunteers at the time. Yeah.
It just occurred to me to make one quick comment, because it came up a while ago about climate deniers, and I always think it's good to have something in your back pocket. So I just was going to share a back pocket, which is in Antarctica they retrieved an ice core record that's over 1 million years. It's called the Vostok Ice Core, and that's been analysed by NASA. And it actually shows us like a tree ring in a tree. It gives us the parts per carbon of every year for the last 1 million years. And we know that the Earth goes in a cyclical cycle. It goes from 220 parts per million to 280, 220, 280. And it's done that for the last 1 million years and we go through a cycle every 120 years, so 120, 240, 360, etc. The cycle that we're in now is not ever recorded for the last 3 million years, and we've gone from 220 to 428 parts per million. We're nearly 150 parts per million over what the natural cycle of the Earth has been for the last million years. And we know that when carbon goes up, temperature goes up. They're like a married couple. So if somebody needs some scientific background, the Vostok with the V ice core record is just a really good one to have in a back pocket if you ever need it, just to say, we know the last million years. And in fact, NASA's just retrieved one that's 12 million years. That's going to take years to hopefully not get defrosted by the current government, but it's a good thing to know that we have the knowledge to know what's happened over the last million years and how far off this particular Earth cycle we are.
And one of the resounding things that has emerged for me in conversation after conversation, speaker after speaker, is the importance of collaboration and collaboration as a skill. And so I would just like to let everybody know we do have a really great framework that's coming into Australia now called the Inner Development Goals. It's the complementary framework to the Sustainable Development Goals. But within this framework, it's a really high level. It's really about supporting the inner capacities we need for the development of more cooperation and collaboration. So I just would like to sow that seed, that that's something that we all have as a resource freely available to us to take with us into the groups and discussions that we're having to help create an impact. And in those inner areas where it can be seen as a whole lot of woohoo. Well, look, there's 4,000 scientists who have developed this framework and been part of that. There's an enormous amount of credibility that goes with it. So I invite everyone to make use of that resource.
So, are there any other comments people want to make? Well, you can do it. You don't.
You don't care if it doesn't get recorded? Well, we haven't. Okay, cool. I just wanted to jump from that one because I will be following up. I want to learn more about the inner development goals, and I'll be following up about the climate legislation call for contributions before the 8th of April, I think it was. But I just wanted to say also, I interact with lots of different communities of women, and all of them are yearning to do something more and something different and to bring their impulse to care. But they, like me, probably wouldn't feel confident to turn up to claim themselves as climate activists or come into a context like this because, I had a bit of a story for myself around, sometimes I use plastic and sometimes I forget my keep cup and sometimes I use my car too much and I don't mind international travel every now and again, and so I'm not a good enough climate activist to belong. And my experience this weekend has been quite the opposite of that. It's just, very normal people doing normal life and doing their best with whatever resources and skills and connections they've got. So what I will be doing is letting these other normal women know that there's a place for them and for their yearning to be part of something and doing things differently.
Sorry, is there going to be a group doing the 8th of April? Is there going to be a group working on the 8th of April thing? Well, I would like to be part of that group. Is anybody else interested? This is writing to the Victorian Government for their climate change committee. No, I don't suppose. It was raised this morning. So if people are interested, could we maybe meet at the end of the session over there, and let's get our names and contacts.
Could I just make a recommendation that the work that goes into that writing to Victoria is also used to inform a federal equivalent to go to the federal government in the days, weeks, months we've got ahead of a federal election? Because I think the messages might be the same and the direction it's pointed in would just need to be tweaked.
The federal government just completed its consultations at the end of last year on its new climate change strategy, so we did make a submission to it as Women's Climate Congress. So, yeah, I just wanted to say I'm really interested to hear what are the key messages people want us to take in the election campaign, the federal election campaign, because that's really honest, and our vision, what we want to tell our politicians of the vision that we want a government to implement after the election. So not party political, because that's, we can't do that, or we don't do that. Yeah, the message of what we mainly want to tell them that we want them to do once they're elected. So, yeah, I'm really keen to hear people's ideas on that.
And Shelley's ready to write it all down. So we're now talking about what do we want to put in a campaign, I suppose if you call it that, for the election, to tell what do we want our politicians to do. What's the messages that will come from, that would reflect the conversations that we've had here, that reflects the Women's Climate Congress principles that we can, yeah, I can see. You already have one.
So one thing I would say is we want politicians to get absolutely 100% behind renewable energy and no more coal, no more gas, and certainly no nuclear energy.
I'd like that there would be a very clear climate change education curriculum. Thank you.
I would like to say, I would like to see connectivity, because we've discussed that, between the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and Australia's responsibilities at an international level.
I would like to see the Australian government put into place zero population growth, as was practiced in the 70s.
Get behind the duty of care legislation or futures generations legislation.
I'd like to see them working across sectors and departments because it's too isolated, amongst many other things that I could say. I'd like to see them working across sectors and departments in climate change and not just stay within the environmental department, because it concerns every aspect of our lives.
I'd like to see the Australian government follow Costa Rica's lead and adopt the development goals at a national level of policy.
I'd like to see a way that we can all stay connected from today, because we haven't been able to speak with everybody and so on.
I'd like to see somehow, and I don't know what the wording is, that the knowledge of our First Nations people be the lead on what we do with climate change, not a subsidiary thing. That might be nice.
I'd like to see more transparent reporting on actually what we are achieving in the energy transition. It keeps getting hidden, and we're at 46% at the moment in renewable transition. It keeps getting hidden and buried, and nobody in media is reporting on it. And secondly, when Matt Keane did his report recently on, without any inference to either side of politics, the Australian Climate Authority did a report on what it would take for us to go nuclear, and it found so many holes in Dutton's policy, and he printed that and Dutton said the first thing I'll do is fire you when I get into government. I mean, I just think we have to hold people accountable to being transparent and actually really media telling the facts, not the fiction.
Can I just say?
I'd like to follow on from what Tricia said about First Nations people and perhaps just relay a bit of my limited understanding about their universal across the country in all their 250 countries. The first law of the earth is the law in the light of which all human-made laws are created, only as illuminated by the first law of the earth, which is to say that just as the Mother Earth gives rise to us, sustains us, provides for us, and gives life to all our future generations, so equally is our reciprocal and loving duty of care to look after the Mother Earth, care for her, and aid in her own sustenance.
I want to a bit emphasize the First Nations knowledge, as Trish mentioned that we need to emphasize the climate in school level curriculum, and I would like to emphasize more on bringing the First Nations knowledge in those curriculum, because while I work for UNFCCC portfolio in the local communities and Indigenous Peoples Forum, I led one of the theme out of 9 theme, that was the Indigenous curricula. And then I knew how important it is to tackle with the climate. And we know several ways of adaptation and tackling with climate emergencies. I think that we need to bring in education system so that we can build in the modern education system and make the adaptation system more stronger. Okay, and then I would like to thank WCC for having me here, and I'm happy to represent one of very few women of color. I think Shuji, Supriya, and some of us. I think it is inclusive. Then we can still make it more inclusive in future. Then I also wanted to have some resolution or some 3-4 points from here that we can carry forward wherever we go. I think the submission is one part, but still we can make something so like Castlemine resolution or something like that. Then that can we carry wherever we go. Thank you.
So Jenny's telling me that we have to sort of wind up. Unfortunately, we made a slight, we didn't quite understand the booking system at the Castlemaine Town Hall, and we've got to leave a bit earlier than we originally thought we might have to when we were planning this event. So and our AV people are going to need a bit of time to pack their things up as well. And many of the things that you've mentioned are things that are mentioned within our charter, like sort of listening and learning from First Nations knowledge, intergenerational equity and the rights of earth life, and many of the other things, including rapid urgent action on climate change, phasing out fossil fuels. So we can use that as a sort of a framework for bringing together many of these points. And definitely we'll prepare something, and it would be really great if any of you could write to your local representatives. It doesn't matter whether it's your state representative or your federal representative, to say that you've been at this gathering. I think it's really good for the politicians to know that women are mobilising and that there's been a gathering of women, and these are the things from your heart, what you felt was expressed within the context, obviously, of what we're trying to do as the WCC. And also, I mean, this is a bit cheeky, but when we left our last national conference in 2022, as we were going out the door, Margaret DeCam, who is here, she nobbled me and she said, "Oh, I think we could run something like that in Melbourne," she said, or in Victoria, she said. So I'm going to be standing by the door when you're going out. If anyone feels inclined to think that their state might be the next one where we could have one of these gatherings. It did take a couple of years, so it's not a huge amount of pressure. Doesn't have to be next week, but it is nice sometimes to have a feeling of where the next gathering like this is going to happen. And of course, that's on a larger scale like this, but we also have our roadshow, what we call our roadshow events. And they are smaller scale events like this that can be run in local communities. And if any of you going back from this event feel, oh, it would be really great to have a Women's Climate Congress event in our local community, then please let us know and we'll try and work with you to make that happen. Yeah, I have. Am I giving?
If you have finished, Janet, I will take over for a moment. There are three really important things that we all need to do. We need to get Sajiva and her team out and give them a roaring thanks. And before you do that, then we have to thank Supriya, and I'll tell you why Supriya. Sure, the rest of the team, yeah, it was all great, but Supriya was amazing. Then we have to put away the chairs and the tables, because at 3 o'clock boot scooters are going to come in here, but we're going to clear the place out, and then we are going to conclude our very sacred time together with Pauline leading us in that beautiful sort of farewell dance. And if we can have all of that done by sort of 10 to 3, it will be fantastic. So first we start with Sajiva and the... Okay. There may or may not be music, but we won't let that get in the way just at the moment. Okay, oh, hooray! Woo, 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 woo. Sajiva, you have given us food that represents how we want the planet to be. Pure, fresh food. Thank you very much. And next, I just want to pay attention to Supriya, and I have an envelope, Supriya, for you that will take you to a day spa, which you well deserve. You've probably... You would have had many communications from Supriya, just as we did on WhatsApp. From 7 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night, Supriya just held every factor of what we had to do to make this work, from the tiniest little flyers and bits and pieces that make this sort of a rich, finessed experience. You're a remarkable communicator, Supriya. Are we allowed, what do we do now? Do we move the chairs now? A couple more.
So I've already mentioned that Margaret bailed me up at the door in 2022 to organise the next of these events in Victoria, and she and Jenny Cameron have been the backbone of our Victorian team, who have kept the ball rolling, kept the dream, kept the ball rolling, and logistically put this together with Supriya, as you've already heard, coming in to do. Yeah, okay, I'm coming to that, don't worry. So just thanks very much to Margaret and Jenny. Also, and also Shelley, who's also one of our Victorian members, who has done an enormous amount of work. Our workshop facilitators, Mary, Liz, and Lynn, our wonderful stalwart friend. And we also have a slide. Could we just have the next? Oh, well, I'm thinking about it. I feel absolutely terrible because over the whole weekend I've been so busy, I don't know your name, and that's terrible. What's your... Callum. And on the slide you can see some of our other wonderful sponsors and helpers, people that have given us of their time, gifted us their precious intellectual property. Nicole Kellner, who's an American artist actually, has gifted us the use of her beautiful watercolour version of the climate strikes. You can, Women's Environmental Leadership Australia gave us a very generous sponsorship towards the cost of this event. Moonee Valley Sustainability have been wonderful. Francis Guerin, who organised a lot of the arts displays that we've had. Growing Abundance Project. Rosemary Race helped us with media. Amelia Meaney, who is based in Sydney, did a lot of work on the website. Legion Office Works in Castlemaine did printing. Wendy Parker, who is a wonderful filmmaker here. Maurice, who gave us beautiful breathing. Beck Horridge, Radio 3CR, wasn't able to be here. We have a collaborative arrangement, but she will be looking at our recordings and making podcasts for Radio 3CR. Pia, photographer, was here earlier, and Pamela, who you saw on Friday and yet last night. Trisha, for artworks and donating things to the raffle. Josephine Ford, you met yesterday, who was doing our graphic artwork for us. So I hope we haven't left anyone out, but...
Well, me first, then you. I also want to thank the 23 women who donated in the last week or so to top up our funds. That really made a huge difference. So thank you all. You know who you are, and we're very deeply appreciative.
And I just wanted to thank Janet, because Janet has been working on this more than full time for a long time, getting all the thematic content together, as well as the panellists, and doing all that contact work with the panellists and the themes. And others of us we're happy to have some inputs, but she was doing the work, and even to things like actually doing all the background work on how the sessions would flow, and just an amazing amount of work, so conceptually and in very concrete ways, and as well as all the work you've done this weekend, Janet, in convening us and pulling it all together. So I just want to say very heartfelt thanks to Janet. Thank you.
Yeah. So, well, thank you very much, Mary. It's what I do. It's my passion. I don't know how long it'll last, so somebody else better step up sometime soon. Well, you all are stepping up, so that's really good. So make it count. Go forth and multiply. And now...
We have to do our dance now because Callum's starting to pack up. So take this moment to be together, and then the practical work of packing up the room will happen next.